I will move that we sign the collective bargaining agreement. The reason for the motion is the union members have already signed it. We've worked extensively with an attorney and Max to get to this point. It's been far too long. Union negotiations were stalled, not by the commission, but by the sheriff. And I don't think stalling any further is doing our citizens any services. We need to get this done. So that's my motion.
Is there a second?
I mean, I really think that the sheriff, our county attorney needs to weigh in on this. I mean, and I don't wanna delay it another week either. But it just doesn't seem like we have all the pieces together to make the right decision.
The county attorney can't because he recused himself from it. And I would encourage you to read the emails that I forwarded from the other attorney regarding the sheriff before stalling this for another week. It's been addressed by her multiple times already.
I did not recuse myself from the bargaining. I recused myself from the unfair labor practice measure that went forward. As I understand, once this is adopted, that will be resolved. So I'm happy to review it. I'm not aware of any reason why I would be conflicted from reviewing the agreement. I've not been in any way involved in the negotiations, however, to this point. I also don't agree that the sheriff he may be a contributing part, but he's not by any means the sole reason why everything was stalled. Certainly part of it was the unfair labor practice issue. So there's a signature, there's always been a signature line for the sheriff. He's the head of the office. And there is currently on this draft. So I think that's an issue for the commission to work out with the sheriff, but I certainly think his role and his approval of this is essential. He's the guy that's got to carry it out.
Well, I know you were involved in part of the negotiation. You've seen what the language needs to be.
So I was very involved in the last one.
Mm-hmm.
This one I was involved in the beginning of it only. So, I mean, I'm happy to review it, but I, have not at this point been involved. So, I think the tougher nut to crack here is the sheriff's approval. So.
And I do need to add just two points of fact, and I'll encourage you both to follow this up with the other attorney, but the unfair labor practice was a result of this being installed, which the commission did not do. And that will not be resolved with the signing of this contract. The two are not, signing one doesn't take care of the other.
If you want to rely on the outside attorney and have me not look at this, I don't have a problem with that. She's a very competent, good labor lawyer. That's totally your call, and I won't object either way. If you want me to look at it, I'm happy to look at it. I don't think my review of it is going to implicate the conflict of why I recuse myself from the other matter. But I'll leave that up to the commission. Either way, I think the issue that does need to be addressed is the sheriff's approval of it.
Yes, Tim?
Mr. Chairman, Tim Ravendall with Redoubt News. Just a real quick question. This is the first time that the discussion that I can recall, unless I missed it, where the unfair labor practice issue is tied directly to the new bargaining agreement, which to my understanding would be something that would be discussed in the meeting so that we can make sure that we have those facts right on how that was actually resolved. Because none of the public meetings that I've been to that I can recall ever said, okay, we resolved that conflict with the union. It hasn't been discussed to my knowledge. If I missed it, I apologize. But at any rate, it's tied directly to this with the sheriff needing to have a seat at that table. And so for clarification, it would be helpful. Thank you.
It has not been resolved that I know of.
Okay. Then whatever you guys do with the attorney you've got, proceed as she tells you, recommends you do, is what I would say.
Thank you.
So you said, Sheriff's reviewed this? Is that who you're talking about?
Mhm.
Okay, I guess I haven't received that email.
I would think we have both Corey and Sheriff's review. And if either one of them, because we've already been through all this stuff, as far as I know, I really don't know if Wynn's okay with this contract or not, because he hasn't said anything to us.
I asked him if he, I said, are you coming to the meeting? Have you seen the CBA? Are you on board with it? And he said, I'm at a Mako meeting, I can't come. I have not seen the CBA, and therefore I couldn't tell you that I'm in support of it or approving it, because I haven't seen it. Until I can, I can't tell him that I'm supportive of it. He asked me to convince you, and that was the sum total of it.
We had to send a letter in January inviting the sheriff to participate in the negotiations. We did have Brandon, and Seth both participate, but the sheriff chose not to come. I would refer you back to Church's email, but, my motion's gonna stand. That we approve this and, get it done.
As much as Aaron would like to have, I'm not gonna second, as much as Aaron wants to hurry up and have this done, but if she wanted to hurry up and have it done, she should've had it to us like a week ago, because she never did mail us the right copy till last week. So, and I think that we have the right to have our attorney and both Church and Corey look at it. I also think we have to have the sheriff look at it. I mean, just because he doesn't wanna participate in the negotiations, he still has to run the office.
Agreed?
I would think that that's what we would want to.
And
So-
I think some of that review's already been done, but I'm okay with a second look by several folks.
So we'll have both Church and Corey review the contract, and put it on the agenda for next week. Does that give you enough time, Corey?
Yes.
Okay,
And I would review the emails, because I do believe it went to the sheriff's office,
Okay.
again through Brandon and Seth, who I would have expected would have shared it with the sheriff. So I would like to see that and have that as part of the record next week.
okay,
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
yes.
There's a lot of this, I sent it, but there's not a lot of conversation about they received it. Is there any way that you can send it and then make sure that they received it? There's a whole lot of, I sent it, and I sent it, and I sent it, but I didn't get a response. Is there any action taken about, did you receive it? There seems to be a stop gate there.
Normally, if you don't receive it, your computer tells them you didn't get it.
How does the computer know you didn't get it?
Because the email doesn't go through, the computer tells you the email didn't go through.
But does anyone ever verbally contact the other end of the discussion so you know if it got there?
You have to do it by email, there's no record of it. No, I understand what you're saying, but yeah.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of I sent it, but there's not a lot of I received it going on. Just a question.
Okay, so we'll table that till next week then. Okay, let's see, 11:45, task order between the Department of Health and Human Services and the Brattleboro County Public Health. This is a task order for contract 200710111170 for the organization to review and sign. We have authorization for September 1st, 2019 to August 31st, 2020. Is there a motion to approve this contract with the Department of Public Health and Human Services?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made, second to approve contract with the Department of Health. Is any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carried. have to get a copy of that back to Teresa today to see this goes with that. Thank you. Is there any further items for discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess there's a discussion item we've been trying to get on our agenda for the past couple of weeks, and Corey, I'm gonna probably need your help on this. We still need to either contract for service or select, or do an authorization for special counsel on some outstanding issues. Is that something that we still need to do?
I believe so. I think there's a couple issues where I feel I have a conflict and can't resolve, and they're not covered by the Attorney General's appointment of Marty Lambert. And so I do think that there's a couple things that the commission needs to appoint. My recommendation is appoint him as well to address, but, yeah, I think there are still a couple things that need left out there to deal with.
All right, so I guess we need to settle on some language of the document or whatever it is that we decide is gonna serve us best. I know we had two proposals. One is the appointment, the authorization requesting for special counsel. The other is a contract for services.
Correct. So the second one that's been suggested is basically like a probably relatively short-term interlocal agreement with another county. That was the second one. The first one was just a straight appointment, so. The first one is, I think the first one's more appropriate. I think the second one is also adequate, so I can send you guys something and you guys can decide which one you wanna do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's gone on long enough. I think it needs to be on our agenda for next week, one way or another.
Okay. And then, are you available for Copper City Road next week?
Yes. As I was gonna ask, if you guys got all those materials I sent you on Copper City Road?
Yeah.
So if you're, two things on that. One, if you wanna put it on the agenda, then I can notify Mr. Goss, I think his attorney's likely to come. And then the second thing is, the memo I gave you is protected attorney work product. If you want me to make a publicly available version of that, I can do that as well. Basically, that would be explaining just the factual history, et cetera. It's your call. The one that I have now would be, it wouldn't be disclosable because of, it's with the private entity, et cetera. And his attorneys agreed that it's not disclosable and he doesn't have a right to do it. So it's up to you. If you want me to do a publicly available version, I can do that.
I would like it to be publicly available.
Okay, so I'll give you one that's got less of my legal opinions and more of the facts. And then all the appendix documents, it's like 70 pages, those are all public records.
Sure.
And I can generate several copies of that for the public. It's basic, most of it's just old committee or commission agenda items and minutes, but there are some documents. Every document I have is either a document that was recorded in the clerk and recorder's office or was a commission agenda item, et cetera. So all we did was spend a lot of time mining them from multiple previous years. Okay.
Very good.
Since that potentially comes to a banning in a road, do we have to advertise that? With a more specific,
We do need to advertise it. And then I'm gonna recommend we do a formal action. And if you want to dedicate the new Copper City Road as well, I mean, you guys just tell me the actions you wanna take, we can do that. And then I can prepare whatever documents need to be done for that.
so are we okay having it on the agenda next week, or do we have to advertise for a certain amount of time before we
The
go through the
statute,
process?
the statute says it must be advertised, and before a commission can act to declare or abandon a county road, it has to be publicly advertised and have a public hearing. It does not have a set number of times that it has to be. So I think if you advertise in accordance with your normal schedule, say Wednesday, and it's for a Monday meeting, I'll ensure that it gets to Mr. Goss and his attorney. And then, I don't know if there's any other members of the public that would care about it, but we could certainly, I could ask Nicole if she's got aware of anybody that would wanna know about it, we could put it out, but I mean, That statute only specifically says those things, publicly advertised in a public meeting. Beyond that, it doesn't give more requirements, like some where you have to do it twice, et cetera. There's no requirement there for that road. And then the other thing, just give you a heads up on an agenda soon. I've reviewed all the concession agreements with the trust board and the Rod and Gun Club, et cetera. Peter Simon did some edits, he got them back to me last Thursday, and then we spent all our life on the other stuff, so I haven't looked at them yet, but I'm not sure what the deadline is, but I understand there's an August deadline sometime for them to finalize the DAT. So, I would say probably good to have it on next Monday's agenda, not later than next Monday.
Okay.
And they're, with his minor edits, they should be done. I should be able to get those to you by email in the next day, as long as his edits don't require me to redo something.
Any other items for discussion then? If not, we'll adjourn at 12:31.
It's there all of a sudden.
I know about that part. You hit 75 and you get that.
Well, I have a workout this week that I wasn't ready for.
Your daughter, your puppy,